Hey, welcome everybody, Satsang family. So this is Krishna Dasa. Welcome you all. Today we are going to do the revision for fourth chapter. Before we start, I will say the prayers to Guru and God. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militamene Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva. Om.
Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Maharaj.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. All ready for the revision? We have a bunch of enthusiastic volunteers. Really grateful for all of you. So let's start. The first question is, what is the main theme of chapter 4? Minalji?
Haji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Main theme of the chapter 4 is about Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga.
Excellent. So in short, Krishna spoke about Karma Yoga. Krishna also gave some idea about Jnana Yoga. And then Krishna is also mentioned about Sannyasa and how it is not applicable to everybody. And then he's combining all of that together. And he's saying how we can use Jnana to perform Nishkama Karma. So that is kind of the deep knowledge we learned in chapter 4. Thank you. So did Krishna come up with Bhagavad Gita just for Arjuna? I mean, just for the Kurukshetra war, Minalji?
No. The knowledge Sri Krishna is sharing or passing on to is not something newly created for the purpose of motivating Arjuna in the battlefield. It is the timeless science of yoga that Krishna originally taught to Vivasana, the sun god. Vivaswan passed it on to Manu, the father of humankind, who then instructed it to Ikshvaku, the first king of the solar dynasty and the ruler of the entire planet. So it's not the first time, or it's not just for the Arjuna. Krishna is saying Bhagavad Gita.
Thank you so much. Very, very nicely put. One of the reasons we are asking this question and one of the reasons we are studying the answer is because in the context of what is happening between Arjuna and Krishna, if you see, Krishna even teases Arjuna as Pandita in one of these slokas. He says, you talk like a Pandita. That's because Arjuna is so attached to the Vedas, and you can't blame him because that is how people were. The Jnanis were like that. They had a lot of faith in the Vedas. So whatever you say, if you can associate it with Vedas, it is easier for them to immediately have conviction. If you are going to say something which is totally outside of anything that is said in the Vedas, then it's not easy to convince people. That is why Krishna is conveying to Arjuna that, Arjuna, this is not like something very new that I'm coming up just for you. It is part of the Vedic knowledge which I have given to people long before you were born. So thanks, Minalji. So that leads us to the next question, which is, what are the two ways of knowledge as explained by Krishna, and which one is better? How should we approach that knowledge? Smitaji? You're on mute, Smitaji. Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you, Guruji. So, so basically, in Bhagavad Gita chapter 4, which is Jnana Yoga, Lord Krishna clarifies two principal means of acquiring the knowledge. So one is the ascending knowledge and the other is the descending knowledge. So by ascending knowledge, what Lord Krishna tries to explain is this is the knowledge that we try to seek, like we out of our own will go and try to learn something, try to learn about the Vedas and try to seek that. So knowledge that one acquires through direct experiences, like, so many of us have had many divine interventions, experiences. So through that or through meditation and introspection. So it is something that is self-realized wisdom. It's all, what we perceive and think as, okay, this is the right way to attain that spiritual path. This is what I think is the right way. This is what, because these are my experiences. So Lord Krishna, what he also explains is there are limitations in this, because one may not know whether the knowledge one has sought or realized is the truth, because we cannot say for sure that this is the spiritual path, because we have not traversed it before. So we are just learning it. We may have done it in previous births or whatever, many births before, and sinned and then come back again to learn that. But the thing is, we don't know that is the truth. There is nowhere that we can, certify and say that the path that I'm following is the true path. It's all from the books. It's all from the knowledge that you go out and seek. And this has those limitations because there is no way to know that it is the truth. But it's just what we perceive and realize. But there is another path which is easier, and that is the descending knowledge. So descending knowledge is basically learning from a realized teacher, from a guru who has already, traversed that path and knows the truth. So he has realized that truth. So it's like learning from a teacher who has attained a degree and everything. You know for sure that what is coming in from there is the experienced knowledge. And it's just like putting your putting your kids into a school. The teachers know everything. They have done the kindergarten. They've done everything. So they know the truth and they impart it. So similarly, in the spiritual path, they already have have realized that truth, and they can actually guide you and avoid you in making any in having any pitfalls in that path. So what Lord Krishna emphasizes is the importance of seeking knowledge from a realized teacher. And this approach involves approaching a learned teacher, offering the service, and asking him sincere questions. Like I know that many of us, can sometimes indulge in questions which is how do I say, like, because we don't see God, how to believe God, in those kind of questions, it can come across as that. But what Lord Krishna says is that having that faith and that humility when you're asking the questions will make sure that the true guru that he's there, he's going to help you in answering your questions and dispelling all your thoughts. So in this thing, the teacher who has already realized the truth can guide the student on the path and provide knowledge that dispels doubts. So what Lord Krishna advises to Arjuna, and by extension to all the seekers, is to acquire knowledge through the second method. And the reason simply being because the guru has realized the what is universe, what is the soul, what is the truth. He knows it, and he's going to guide you perfectly. So there's a very good shloka in the verse 4.34 of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says that Tadvitti pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. So what it means is, this verse highlights a threefold approach for gaining the knowledge from a realized teacher. Pranipata means prostration. That's basically you're like, showing humility and respect to the teacher. That is when you actually fold your hands. Pranipat means actually folding your hands and saying namaskara. So in Sanskrit, pranipat that's the word. And pariprashna means inquiry, asking pertinent and sincere questions. So you can ask which is pertinent, but it has to stem from a place of sincerity, not from a place to test the guru. So that is what he means by saying pariprashna, which is inquiry. And seva is serving the teacher. So because he's going to be the person who's going to guide you to that eternal moksha, it only makes sense to kind of have that humility in your mind to serve your teacher to the best of your aptitude and attitude. Of the two methods, Lord Krishna suggests that learning from a realized teacher is more practical and effective for most people. This is because the direct realization, like the first method, like you yourself doing it, it requires intense meditation, an immense purity of heart, and a level of spiritual advancement that might not be possible or accessible to everyone because of the busy lives we lead and the way we do. We may not have that kind of a time for that intense meditation. You can't abandon everything and go. We know that that's not the path either. So on the other hand, approaching a realized guru provides guidance, clarity, and a roadmap for spiritual growth, making the journey easier and more structured.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mitaji, for the detailed answer. Appreciate very much. So you covered almost all aspects. Ascending knowledge is like knowledge that we try to gather. You rightly said that one of the issues is sometimes you may think you found the truth, but it could be a conditional truth, like that may seem like the truth for that instance, in that situation, but it may not be truth in the bigger context, A great example in modern science also, if you see, a lot of people believed that Newtonian principle was the absolute truth. For many years, everybody thought, for example, he said that, for example, light and space, he said they are independent, time and space, they are independent entities. And then Einstein had to come in and he had to come up with a theory of relativity that said, oh, what Newton said is not the complete truth. And then he came up with something bigger. And he said time and space are related. And then somebody today is coming up and they are saying even Einstein's truth is not complete. So this is the problem with ascending knowledge. Very, very well put. And descending knowledge is what came from top. So Vedas are the excellent example of descending knowledge. So we can just take it in good faith until we advance and eventually are able to self-realize. And the main words you beautifully put up, Pariprashna, Pranipata, they are all very, very important. Pariprashna is extremely important in Kali Yuga because in Kali Yuga, unfortunately, there are a lot of fraud gurus, false gurus also. So we cannot blame the students. Students don't want to believe quickly. But the advice Krishna gives and the advice I also give is be careful who you pick as your teacher. Definitely do your studies, do your research and everything. But once you are sure that this is the person that you want to learn from, then you have to open up. At that point, then you have to get away from questioning the teacher and you have to get into the mode of asking questions in him. See, the thing about seva is not to benefit the teacher. It's not that the teacher is looking for free labor. It is more that it opens your heart up, and that is what is required for spiritual service. Thank you so much. So the next one, what assurance does Krishna provide to his devotees in chapter 4, Smita ji?
Yes, thank you, Guruji. So Lord Krishna, throughout Bhagavad Gita, or so far that we have come, he provides several assurances to his devotees. But one of the most profound assurances is found in the verse 4.7 and 4.8, which I will tell later on. Basically, it emphasizes the divine principle of cosmic order and Lord's commitment to the protection of righteousness and annihilation of the unrighteousness. So basically, he kind of says that, the verses are yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam shajamyaham. So this basically he means that whenever there is a decline in the righteousness, Bharata means Arjuna, and an increase in the unrighteousness, at that time I manifest myself. So paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkritam dharma samstapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So this is like to protect the righteous, to annihilate the wicked, and to re-establish the principles of Dharma. I appear millennium after millennium. So this is something that is like set in stone. So, which is a very famous verse in Bhagavad Gita, and it kind of gives immense confidence to people who have the faith. I mean, you obviously have to have the faith to buy into this beautiful verse. It is like it makes you feel that this assurance is so profound because it conveys the idea that the divine or the supreme consciousness represented by Lord Krishna in Gita is not a distant, uninvolved entity. That means he's not somebody who is not involved in your day-to-day lives or is not involved in this operation of this world, but instead the divine actively engages in the world to restore balance and righteousness whenever it's threatened. This promise of divine intervention, it offers hope, solace, justice, and a sense of protection to the devotees, emphasizing that they are never truly alone in this pursuit of righteousness. It's sometimes, many a times, you can feel that we are going through this process of we are reading the Vedas, we're saying the shlokas, and we're doing all our prayers, but sometimes things just don't work out the way it works out. But eventually, it's all going to pan out according to that grand scheme of things that he has for you. So this verse actually sets that in stone, saying that I will do it, I will be there for you, and I will annihilate anything that is wicked and bad. And it could be on a larger scale, like on a cosmic scale, or it could be on individual life scale, because Krishna, I firmly believe, takes care of each and every one of us. So there's this small example in Mahabharata, which is not shown on the TV, but there was this when Krishna and Arjuna I haven't written that here, but I just remembered when Krishna and Arjuna kind of went to the battlefield. So before they saw this, so Krishna can sense everything, right? Because he's omnipresent and he knows everything. So he saw this small bird, which was like, praying to him, saying like, I have my nest here and I have my, babies here and everything. What will happen to them during this war? There's some tree that said it's just going to, you're going to decimate me, but you need to take care of me. So Krishna will talk to him, mentally. So this is something that we know about all saints. The saints and the saint or Lord always talk to you through thoughts. So he will talk to that bird and he will say, like, you should not be here in this spot. You should vacate, find a new home and go away, because there's going to be a big war and I cannot promise to take care of you. So the bird will tell him that, this is my home. I'm not going to find another home in the next few days, and I have my kids to take care. So you just have to protect me, because that is your oath and promise. So then Krishna tells that bird, like, conveys to it, like, yes, I'm going to do that. And at the end of it, it was safe. So it's a very small instance, but it just shows that, it's not just that this righteous order is going to be like he's going to preserve it at the cosmic level, but it's at every individual's life too, because everything is relative in life. So even at our individual life, if we kind of really pray to him and keep us safe, you have that faith, he's basically giving that assurance to every devotee that I'm going to be there. I'll make sure that there is no this unrighteousness will not prevail, and then the emphasizing that they are never truly alone in their pursuit of righteousness, and that the cosmic order will always be preserved, come time and again. So
Hare Krishna,
that's
Hare
his
Krishna. Thank you so much,
profound
Smita ji,
Thank
for the nice explanation. Really appreciate that. Yeah, you are right. The only thing to keep in mind is, at a cosmic level, it is a given. At a cosmic level, he is going to do it yuga after yuga. But at a personal level, we have equal responsibility to become eligible for that promise. That is where, in another place in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Ananya Chintayanto Mam Yajana. So he will say that if you have Ananya Chintan, then I'm also going to always be with you. One thing to keep in mind is, a lot of people, they question. They are like, where is God? Why is this happening? And the point is, just because we don't see doesn't mean he doesn't exist or he's not in our lives. A very funny example I can give is, sometimes, especially people who have grown up kids, they can relate with this. The kid will say, oh, I'm in college, I'm studying, I'm all alone. Where is my father? But they don't realize that, every semester the father is paying the fees, it's going in the account. So you don't see the father doesn't mean the father is not involved. The father is still caring. And, just like that, we should always have faith that we may not see the presence immediately, but Krishna is actively supporting us. Thank you so much, Smita ji. Let's go to the next one. Why does Krishna personally come on earth for his devotees instead of sending one of his subordinates? Anika ji?
Hare Krishna. It is important to note that a devotee is always the top priority of the Lord. And this is highlighted in all the instances when the Lord has descended on earth for his devotees. So Lord Vishnu has come to earth in different avatars to destroy the evil and establish peace, tranquility, and love. In this material world, where most of the individual souls are busy seeking mundane pleasures, there are a few elevated ones who are devoted to God, constantly devoted to God. This is why a devotee is considered a priceless gem by the Lord, and he protects them at all times. Shri Krishna says in verse 4.8 that the world would experience a chaotic descent into adharma and the virtuous would suffer. But he also promises that he will descend on earth and manifest himself whenever this happens to save his devotees. So traversing with examples across different yugas once again reveals that Shruti, that's descending knowledge, is the timeless wisdom and remains relevant all through. So an example from Satya Yuga was when the dear and young ardent devotee Prahlada, even though he was from the demonic clan, was protected by Lord Vishnu at all costs from the demons. In the Treta Yuga, Maharaja Indradyumna, a devotee of Lord Vishnu, was cursed by Rishi Agastya to be reborn as an elephant in his next life. Though he appeared as Gajendra, that's the king of elephants, he retained his devotion to Lord Vishnu from his past life. One day when Gajendra was cooling off in a lake, a crocodile grabbed his leg and refused to let go. After struggling for a long time and being in vain, Gajendra called out to Lord Vishnu for help with all his heart. Immediately, Lord Vishnu appeared riding on Garuda and freed Gajendra from the crocodile's grip. Gajendra was not only liberated from his curse, but also granted a safe place in Vishnu's abode. And another instance in the Treta Yuga was when Lord Rama had given Vibhishana refuge when he had no safe place to live. In the Dwapar Yuga, that's when the Mahabharata happened, Draupadi sought Krishna's help and he in no time saved her from further humiliation. And moreover, in the Kurukshetra war, though Krishna had vowed not to touch any weapon to save his ardent devotee Arjuna, he was forced to break his vow to protect him from the constant attacks by Bhishma and was about to aim the Sudarshan Chakra at him, but he was stopped by Arjuna. So these are the examples of how Krishna constantly helped his devotees. And there's a story of how the Mughal ruler Akbar questioned a Bhagavad Gita verse about Krishna personally appearing to save his devotees. And so in order to seek an answer, he asked Birbal, and later on a boat trip, Birbal pushed Akbar's son into the river, and Akbar himself had jumped to save him. So Birbal's explanation was that just as Akbar impulsively saved his son out of love, Krishna does the same for his devotees when they're in need.
Excellent, Anika ji. Thank you so much for the beautiful explanation. Now, Krishna didn't really break his vow. He made a show as if he was going to break his vow. And that was also a Leela. And it is, a lot of people have interpreted it in many different ways. One of the interpretations is he did that to actually awaken Arjuna, because Arjuna was still not completely bought into this idea that he has to fight like a Kshatriya for Dharma. Arjuna was still not being Arjuna. So Krishna wanted to just wake him up. So he made a big show drama, like I'm going to break my, vow and all. And that actually awoke Arjuna, because from that point onwards in the war, Arjuna did not restrain himself and was fierce. So I just wanted to, call that out. Thank you, Anika. Beautiful explanation. There is a lesson to be learned in Krishna's assurance. Do you remember what lesson it is, Anika ji?
Yes. Krishna manifests himself in various categories and innumerable forms to safeguard his devotees and humanity. The key point to note is that Sri Krishna can be present amongst us in any form and at any time. This is why we should learn to have humility and purity of heart to be able to see his presence everywhere and in anything, and not expect to see him only in his radiant form with many hands wielding the Sudarshan Chakra and other weapons. Also, we humans have a general tendency to fall and become non-virtuous. So it's important to consciously work on our own growth and have a connection with the Lord, follow his teachings, and liberate ourselves from the endless cycle of birth and death in this imperfect world.
Very nice, very nice. Thank you so much. See, there are two quick things I'll cover. One is, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself has said that Samadarshan is important, which means how will you know whether you are nearing self-realization? You will know when you are able to see Krishna everywhere, in everything. So if you can see Krishna in a cow, in a dog, in a cat, you shouldn't expect that Krishna means, like as you rightly said, it is not that where I don't see any tall blue person with Sudarshan Chakra in the hands, that means I don't see Krishna. That is not the way you look at it. Krishna can be in any form. Beautiful. The key thing I was looking for is, Asmita ji also rightfully said, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. That assurance is there. He said, whenever there will be decline, I'll be there. But what is the lesson in that assurance? The lesson is there is going to be decline. It is a given. Krishna doesn't say, if there is a decline, I will come. Krishna says, whenever there is a decline, I will come. That means Krishna knows that the decline will happen. So there is a term in modern science, the term is called entropy. Entropy means anything that you think is perfect today will eventually on its own go towards imperfection. So that is how the universe is. Decay is built into the design, and that is how we humans are. So we have to keep in mind that the decay is built in. So we have to watch out for that. It is not like today I feel like I'm spiritually advanced and that's it. No, if you're not careful, tomorrow you will fall. Today you may feel like I have control over my senses. It's not a done deal. Tomorrow you may lose control. That is the key lesson to keep in mind always. So that is why you should never let your success get to your head. Even spiritual success, don't let it get to your head. Okay. Keep in mind that there will be decay. It is built in. I have to always be humble and I always watch out for that. So that is one of the key lessons. Thank you again, Anika ji. So in 4.9, Krishna says that whoever understands the divine nature of my birth and activities, they don't have to take birth again. So how do we actually understand the divine nature of his birth and activities? Asha ji?
Yes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So in reality, actually the Krishna, being the supreme God, is eternal. Krishna is not subject to law of material world. Rather, Krishna is the one who is controlling and governing the laws of material world. Krishna is taking avatars because there is a purpose. Krishna is taking avatar to protect the dharma or to destroy the adharma. Now, Krishna is saying that once the person is knowing the or understanding the divine nature of Krishna's birth and activities, then he doesn't have to, take the birth again and again, but that person will come to Krishna's eternal abode. And for that, Krishna is giving us some, tricks. He's saying that the a person who is full of heart, full of person's heart, full of faith or devotion, that person, and we know that there are three ways. The Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasa. Shravana is nothing but the hearing or reading the divine knowledge. Manana is repeatedly thinking or understanding that knowledge, and Nididhyasa is developing the firm faith in God. The another thing which Krishna is suggesting is to be free from attachment, fear, anger, ego, and become fully absorbed in the Krishna and surrender to him is the way.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Yeah, so Krishna calls out fear, attachment, and anger because he says that as long as you have this, you cannot know him completely. The interesting thing we discussed was fear, because fear is also not good for spiritual progress. So that is one of the beautiful messages in the Bhagavad Gita, where there are other kinds of faiths where they want you to be God fearing, whereas Krishna openly says that you should be God loving. Fear is not a virtue. So very, very important. And what does Krishna say about worshipping demigods, Asha ji?
Yes. So in a spiritual practices, the sacrifices plays the important roles. The Vedas are mainly categorized into three parts: Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, and Upasana Kanda or Bhakti Kanda. In the Karma Kanda, there are it has mentioned this different processes or the rituals or the practices to perform so as to fulfill the material desires. These practices are not misleading or bad, but actually these are the stepping stones towards the spiritual journey. The purpose is to make the ignorant person or the person having the lower level of consciousness gradually progress on a spiritual path. The purpose is to get that person which is who is ignorant on the path of spiritual path. This is like a kindergarten kid. Actually he is the kid who is in a kindergarten kg, he doesn't know the importance of the education. So to get him to the school, kg is full of fun, like, but once he is in a kg, he has not to remain in the kg for the lifetime. He has to evolve himself. Similar way, this karma, in a karma kanda, there are different ways mentioned. Like if some person want wealth, he needs to, worship goddess Lakshmi, and the similar way. But actually, these are some of the ways to pull that person on the path of the spiritual path. And after that, that person needs to evolve and culminate into the bhakti marga. The final purpose of the goal of the life is to self realization, and these processes are nothing but the steps towards the spiritual journey. When Krishna says don't do demigod worship, Krishna is not saying demigods are not worthy of worshipping, but the intention or the expectations which we are worshipping demigods will not let us evolve. This is as the energy and the source of energy are not different. Light and the source of lights are not different. The same way, Krishna and the demigods, actually, demigods are the part of Krishna, or the demigods are getting energy from the Krishna. So we need to understand that whenever we are actually worshipping Krishna or sacrificing anything to Krishna, these are ultimately reaching towards the demigods. So it is easy to worship the Krishna rather than to worship, all the demigods.
Excellent. Thanks once again, Ashaji, for the nice explanation. So
Hare
again,
Krishna.
yeah, so Deepaji may remember she mentioned in one of the previous revisions that yagya is the link between celestial beings and terrestrial beings. In other words, Krishna himself has said that you have to understand the importance of yagya and how there are so many entities which are involved in running the different parts of the universe. So Krishna never says they are worthless. All Krishna is saying is how you approach them is what is wrong. Don't treat them like a short-term gain shortcut. Don't do that. Very nice. Shri Krishna is explaining the 3 key qualities of pure devotees which are required for performing Nishkama Karma. What are those qualities, Apurvaji?
Hare Krishna Guruji. Nishkarm Karma Yoga, which is about doing our tasks just because they are the right things to do without worrying about what we'll get out of it, and serving it as a way to engage in inaction while avoiding the karmic repercussions. According to Sri Krishna, the key qualities of pure devotees required for performing Nishkarm Karma Yoga are Nirashish, which is free from expectations, Yat Chitatma, which is full control over their mind and intellect, Tyakt Sarva Parigraha, which is free from sense of ownership. Shri Krishna says that people with these qualities, when they perform Nishkarma Karma, they are not bound by their actions and they do not incur any sin.
Very nice. Very concisely put. Thank you. So, Nishkama Karma basically itself says that it is a karma, you are performing karma without expectation. So, the first quality is Nirashi. Obviously, you should not have expectations for everything. And then having control over mind, intellect, Krishna will repeat this throughout the Bhagavad Gita, and free from sense of ownership. Because when you have a sense of ownership and doership, that is when expectations come in. No, I gave so much to somebody. Was it yours? What is yours? So once we understand that, then automatically we will stop having expectations. So that is how these things tie into each other. Very nice. Which loka is recited before eating food to offer sacrifice to God, and why, Apurvaji?
The shloka is Brahmarpan Brahma, Havi Brahma, Brahma now, Brahmana Bhutam, Brahmameva Tena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina, meaning that the act of offering or sacrifice is Brahman, that is God. The sacrificial fire is Brahman, and the ghee we pour in the fire is also Brahman. The person performing the sacrifice is also Brahman, and the sacrifice is ultimately for Brahman. Such person who view everything as God easily attain God. Therefore, reciting this shloka before consuming food is a great way to show respect of offering to God within us. The ultimate truth is that there is only one existence, that is consciousness or Brahman. which expresses itself through various names and forms like water in different forms. Repeating this shloka before eating reminds us that we have to realize this ultimate truth. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Beautiful explanation. So the Ramakrishna, for example, the Ramakrishna Mutt and their followers, they always recite this before having food. It's a good sloka. There is one more sloka also, Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam, which says, there that sloka talks about how we will read that sloka later. That sloka talks about how there should be no sense of doership, ownership, everything belongs to Krishna. And this sloka is also very good to say before having food. So try to practice it. It will be a good practice. Before having food, this sloka, it will take hardly 10 seconds if you do it regularly. What is the ultimate sacrifice we can make to God? Deepaji?
Yeah, Hare Krishna. As per Bhagavad Gita verses 4.21 to 4.28, one can make all kind of sacrifices by sacrificing their wealth, perform severe austerities, or controlling the health, hearing and breathing. However, the ultimate sacrifice that we can offer to the Supreme Lord is our own self. That is complete surrender, which also means Atma Samarpan. We all are sinners and have committed some kind of sin, knowingly or unknowingly. If we want to receive God's blessings and grace, the only way to receive is by surrendering wholeheartedly. Only when we open ourselves to God, He in turn also blesses us with His divine grace. And to be able to perform Atma Samarpan, we need to sacrifice our sensory pleasures by controlling our senses. Sri Krishna helps us to understand this by giving comparison between Raj Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Now, Raj Yoga is practiced using willpower and controlling all our senses, and it's not at all easy, and not everyone can do it. As you all know, we are in Kali Yuga with so many distractions and material attachments. Sri Krishna has made it easy for all of us, wherein he tells us to channelize and direct all our energies, senses towards the Supreme Lord, also referred to as Bhakti Yoga. The Lord has simplified it, wherein he requires us to chant his holy name with complete surrender, Atma Samarpan, and reassures us the Supreme Lord will shower his divine grace in return. And I personally experienced this so many times where I have realized it purely it's outcome of chanting his holy name.
Very nice. Sometime we would like to hear more about your experience, Deepaji. But yeah, that's very, very beautiful that you are also able to experience it.
Yeah.
Very nicely put. Thank you. And about self-control, what does Krishna say?
Yeah. Okay. Krishna says beautifully that when you throw all your sensory activities into the fire of self-control and self-discipline, you develop a high character. Reference is also made with the verse from the Bible where it is quoted, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. As per Sri Krishna, the importance of self-control in Bhagavad Gita, a self-controlled person is balanced in all situations, be it happiness or sadness, and is not agitated by sorrow or not overjoyed with happiness. He says that this, as only the self-control can gradually be attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Self-control also means not indulging in sense enjoyment more than necessary. And those who are not self-controlled are given over to sense enjoyment. Sense enjoyment then leads to the path of darkness. As per Srimad Bhagavatam, I've had some references. I just thought I'd do some. So that's why I have references where it says sense enjoyment leads one to the path of darkness as per Srimad Bhagavatam. Self-control is actually achieved not only by artificially stopping the senses from material enjoyment, but by becoming factually attached to the Supreme Lord, by engaging one's unalloyed senses in the transcendental service of the Lord. The senses cannot be forcibly curbed, but they can be given proper engagement. And this sense of engagement is called Bhakti Yoga. And finally, by self-control, one can be free from false hope and money can be saved by avoiding undesirable association.
Very nice. Very nice. I really appreciate the research, Deepaji. See, imagine there is a lot of water coming from somewhere. Okay. It is like a water coming from top of the mountain, from the glacier. Nobody can try to just stand and stop the water. It is just not going to work, right? But if your intent is, if you're trying to stop because you know that the water is going to destroy your fields, what is the best thing you can do? You can divert the water. You can channelize it and go through a safer path. That is the same way you deal with your senses. So everybody, I don't think we have any like self-realized Atma here. We are all work in progress, right? So we will all have troubles with senses. It's very natural, all your senses will keep tempting us. So we should not try to say, oh no, I'm going to be strong, I'm going to be, powerful, I'm going to say, no, it's not going to work. So Krishna is saying, channelize. So if you feel an urge, for example, if your tongue is really, longing for something, then say, okay, let me cook something and offer it to Krishna first. First, let Krishna enjoy it, and then I will take it as a prasadam. That whole process becomes purifying now. So you have utilized that urge of a tongue to engage in something devotional, you see. So that is kind of the message, is don't try to fight your senses, because your willpower is not what is going to help you here. It is going to be your lack of ego, surrender, lack of pride, and purity that's going to help you. Very nice. What did we learn about theory versus practice of yoga, Deepaji? I think you are the best person to answer, because you are practicing other type of yoga also.
Okay. So, in my personal view, first and foremost, theory makes you mechanical and is one understand at a superficial level, whereas practice of yoga is the actual implementation of the knowledge, the concept that you have learned and gained from the theory. Thereby, practicing the teaching of Bhagavad Gita is a purification process and seeking the divine knowledge. And as Guruji has shared this example of reading multiple books about swimming to learn the different techniques and strokes and styles. However, that's not going to save you if someone throws you into an ocean. So we can practice swimming every day and get perfect only with daily practice. And this applies to spiritual knowledge as well. Shri Krishna is also teaching us by guiding us in the Bhagavad Gita to practice with deep faith, controlling our mind, our senses, complete surrender and sacrifice, Atma Samarpan. It's not important to know all the 700 shlokas of the Bhagavad Gita, but what's important is to understand the essence of these teachings and practicing humility, compassion, love in our own small way daily. Guruji also explained this beautifully by giving us the example of the number zero, where when we multiply anything with zero, it results in zero. Likewise, if we practice with a mindset of Atma Samarpan, relinquishing all senses of ownership as taught by Sri Krishna, then we're reducing ourselves to the zero. And there will be no karmic reaction, and we will also all be equal to zero. Now, my own example of a daily practice of yoga has helped me to do Shirshasana. And trust me, this is only through Zoom classes. Till date, I have not met my teacher who is based in Hyderabad. And I'm able to only do independent Shirshasana with this daily practice. So here is where a real life example of the same.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. By the way, you have not met me also till
Yeah,
today.
I have to meet as I say, no, my spiritual guru is sitting in front of me,
Yeah.
and my yoga guru is in Hyderabad, but definitely someday.
Yeah. But this is very nice to hear about your experience, and I know that you are one of the sincere students practicing. So thank you so much for the inspiration, Deepaji. Keep inspiring all of us.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. What are the two types of puja, Simranji?
Yeah, Hare Krishna, everyone. One small thing I wanted to tell is a small wonder that 2 years before we were revising, and this same question had come to me only, and I had replied to this. Hare
Oh,
Krishna.
see, this is how Krishna works, right? So there is a message for you in there somewhere.
Yes, correct. So there are two types of puja, Bhaya puja and Manasa puja. Bhaya puja is how we externally worship, like the diyas, lighting of the diyas, or offering flowers or ringing bells, etc. Whereas Manasa puja is when you do it internally or chant, or when we think about the Lord in our hearts or mind, or feel him and worship him in our minds. So eventually, Bhai Puja will prepare us to practice Manasa Puja. God doesn't need any material things from us, and actually, there is nothing we have that we can offer Him. So only pure bhakti can is what he is required to be offered. So in Manasa Puja, we actually offer our senses as sacrifice. This prepares us for Atma Samarpan, and that's the way of liberation too. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I really think Krishna wants to convey something to you, Simranji. I
Yes,
remember, yeah, I also, I think now that makes sense. I remember the notes you took, handwritten notes.
yes, yes. Guruji.
I forgot about it, and it's a wonder that Krishna gave you the same question.
Really.
What is the fundamental difference between Bhakti Yoga and other types of yoga, Simranji?
Yes. In previous shlokas, Sri Krishna mentioned various yogas, austerities, penances, etc. that spiritual aspirants practice and success in them. It was based on personal willpower. Whereas Sri Krishna states that the difference between these yogas and Bhakti Yoga is that in Bhakti Yoga, the success is based on total surrender of oneself or Atma Samarpan, and we direct our senses towards the Lord directly.
Exactly. As Deepaji said, the
Yeah.
success in Bhakti Yoga is when we become zero. That is where the success comes. Excellent.
Yes.
What are the three things Krishna says we should follow to acquire transcendental knowledge?
Okay. The three things that Lord Krishna asks us to follow to acquire transcendental knowledge are: first one is pranipatena, means to humble oneself before a knowledgeable person or guru, showing respect and acknowledging their wisdom, surrendering our ego, and approaching the guru with humility. Second one is pariprashnena, means we must inquire humbly, as already we learnt in revision that we should ask sincere questions to clear self doubt and not to question the teacher. And the third one is sevaya, means rendering services to the guru. It is a way to show gratitude and build the bond or the trust stronger with our guru.
Very nice. This is also something Smita ji called out.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And the relationship is very important because unlike material knowledge, in material knowledge, you don't really need any relationship with the teacher because the assumption is, okay, I'm paying fees, so I'm entitled to knowledge, and the teacher is getting paid a salary, so the teacher's job is to teach. And that kind of mindset is what goes on in the material world for material knowledge. But spiritual knowledge is matter of the heart, because the goal is not theoretical knowledge. The goal is realization happens within, and for that,
Yes.
that relationship is very important. So
Yeah.
one of the differences to keep in mind.
Yeah, you explained us that also. Once we open up to our guru and ask him, then we can get all our answers nicely.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, God realization is not depending on us. God relation depends on God. In other words, when God thinks we are ready, that
Yeah.
realization will happen. So we can never find God by chasing God. We can never. It is just like, even in human love, we all know that in human love also, you cannot say, hey, I'm smart, I'm strong, you love me. Is it going to happen? No, you cannot chase love. You'll never get it. Love has to come to you. Just like that, realization has to come to you. God's grace has to come to you. So what you need to do is to prepare yourself. And these things prepare ourselves. Surrender, lack of ego, pride, pariprashna, all that thing. Atma Samarpan. Very nice.
Yes.
You want to also talk about the assurance, Simranji, that we saw in verse 436?
Yes, yes, Guruji. In Shloka 4.36, Shri Krishna tells us that it's important that we have neither positive nor negative karmic balance. It should exactly be zero in order to get liberated from this cycle of life and death. It is very difficult, but to get this zero balance, but Shri Krishna assures us that spiritual knowledge has the power to burn our karmic balances in this lifetime itself. So that's a very important assurance Lord Krishna is telling us. And Adi Shankaracharya has also mentioned this in his Vivek Chudamani, Jnanagni Sarva Karmani Bhasmasat Kurute Tatha. That means the fire of knowledge turns all the actions to ashes in the same way. So if we progress in jnana and perform Nishkama Karma Yoga with the mindset of devotion and surrender, we get purified and progress on the path of liberation.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much. So, karma yoga, just karma yoga will help you become a karmi. But the act of performing karma means you are generating karmic balance. I mean, nobody is above that. The beauty of
Yes.
Nishkama karma is it teaches you how to perform karma and still not get a karmic balance. And this knowledge is eventually going to lead you to nullifying all karma. So, very good. Thank you so much, Simranji.
Thank you, Guruji.
What is Krishna's warning about not having faith, Lakshmiji?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Bhagavad Gita is more about developing devotion and proper behavior by your own free will. Love is the point, and it cannot be legislated. It must be offered with devotion. Krishna's warning about not having faith can be understood from his teaching in chapter 4, verse 40 of Bhagavad Gita. What is the meaning is, having attained this knowledge, those who are full of faith and who are mastered by this knowledge became eligible to attain my state, the state which is beyond all mundane miseries. In this verse, Krishna emphasized the importance of faith and knowledge. He suggests that those who possess faith in his teachings and who are dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge are eligible to attain a state beyond worldly suffering. Krishna's warning could be implied from the opposite scenario. If one lacks faith and dismisses the teaching of Krishna, they might miss out the opportunity to elevate their consciousness and attain liberation. Krishna's warning about not having faith underscores the significance of an open heart and mind when it comes to a spiritual level. Developing faith allows individuals to embark on a transformative journey that leads to self-realization, inner peace, and liberation.
Very nice. Thank you, Lakshmiji. I like your statement. I'm going to use it later in my classes. Love cannot be legislated. I like that. Very nice. Very nice. So, what is Krishna's seventh pragma, Lakshmiji?
Yeah. The seventh pragma is destroyed self-doubt. Your conviction in God depends upon your conviction in yourself. Control the senses first and kill the sinful desire. Here are some key points from the Bhagavad Gita that pertaining to self-doubt. Self-doubt and inner conflict. You should seeking guidance. Self-knowledge and wisdom. Duty and dharma. Renunciation of fruits. Surrender and devotion. Action with equality. Steady partner. The Bhagavad Gita provides guidance on overcoming self-doubt through self-knowledge, understanding one's duty, and surrendering to the higher power. Just if you want, I can give a little bit more. I had in notes, but since the time is little, no, so I don't want to say anything about this.
Yeah. No, thank you so much, Lakshmiji. Maybe we spend some more time in the next session then to talk more about it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to provide a concluding statement for the seventh pragma because the self-confidence Krishna is saying is very, very important. Conviction in your own self, because at the end, we want to have faith in Krishna. But how can you have faith in Krishna if you don't have faith in your own self, is what Krishna is trying to tell us. You know,
The last sloka of the fourth chapter, no? That is the one. I had your book with me.
Oh, the other one. Thank you.
I read that one too, because the Tasmat, that's the last sloka. And then I took that one, that the commandment you they've done. So from that, I want to, because I have to say, thank you for this one.
No, my pleasure. Thank you for reading it. So the point is, Krishna says, if you follow my teachings and if you do Ananya Chintan, then I will do something. Now, sometimes we have a doubt whether Krishna will do something. That doubt is not because we actually doubt Krishna. The doubt is actually because we doubt our own selves. Have we done what Krishna has asked us to do? Have we done samarpan? Have we let go of ego? Have we let go of pride? Have we done ananya chintan? There are things that we are supposed to do, but we are not confident that we have done, right? So that is what Krishna means by first have conviction in yourself. That I am doing everything that is required to be done. Krishna says, then what I have to do, that is a given. There is no need to worry about that. You should have faith. So with that, we can conclude. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to all of you. Really, really grateful. And it's such a joy when all Satsang members prepare for the revision. And it's really, really thankful and grateful. I'm sure Krishna is also happy with all of you. You're going to
Thank you.
get,
Hare
yeah.
Krishna.
I pray for Krishna's mercy and blessings be on all of us. So thank you so much. Hare Krishna. So next week we are going to start 5th chapter. So let us continue this divine journey.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
See you all next
Hare
session.
Krishna.
Next week.
We've gained
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
Hare Krishna. Ekansh, welcome back.
Thank you, Guruji. I'm just at Delhi port and going to CD and then coming to Vancouver.
Very nice. Very nice. This is conviction. Taking the meeting, attending session from the airport. What else can we ask? Krishna bless you, Ekansh.
Thank you so much, Guruji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare Krishna, Guruji. Take
Hare
care.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna.